Hey, I want to spend the rest of the time that I have talking about real Americans who made a difference, who matter. You're unfit for office if you ask the question, what does it matter that an American died in service to their country? When we lose an ambassador and the 3 other men that we lost in Benghazi, and that's the type of the response you get, that automatically makes you unqualified to serve, all right? And I will tell you that every one of these guys, Margie and I, my wife Margie's here with us today, we had five Rangers killed, 32 wounded in our tenure in command of 3rd Ranger Battalion, right after 9/11. Every one of those was a son, brother, in some cases, father. So we parachuted into Afghanistan on 19 October 2001. That mission profile had never been done before anywhere in the world. Demonstrated we can actually go get anybody we want now. That said, we had Ranger Chris Stonecipher and John Edmonds get killed in a helicopter crash at an undisclosed location. We came back, we did a dedication ceremony for them, and we asked the family members to speak on behalf of their loved ones. Mrs. Stonecipher got up to the podium, 650 Rangers before her, and she said, "I want you to know what my son thought about serving with you." And she goes, "I've read Chris's diary. He's a little older than you guys. I read his diary. And this is what he said. I would rather have the respect of just one Ranger than the sympathy of an entire nation." So I ask all of you, how do we restore the respect for each other? How do we restore the respect for our police forces? How do we restore the respect for our rule of law in this country? It takes leadership, all right? It takes leadership. We got to mobilize and set the right leadership examples to be able to get that done. I'm going to talk about the Captain Russ Ripto, Nino Livaday, and Ranger Ryan Long here real quickly. All 3 of those men were killed in a complex terrorist attack in Al Anbar province in western Iraq, where ISIS is fighting today. Late at night, they established a Ranger blocking position. A Suburban pulled up, and an Arab woman who was pregnant got out of the vehicle and approached the battle position. And as plain as English as I'm talking about, said, "I'm pregnant, I'm thirsty, can you give me water?" And they took it back to the company commander. They sent 5 Rangers out with water. As the Rangers approached her, she turned around and blew herself up. The 2 Arab men in the vehicle in the Suburban blew themselves up and sent the truck about 25 feet in the air in a ball of flame. Okay, I say that not because it happened in Iraq. I say that because that could happen here. When you have people who are willing to blow up pregnant women, we're talking a whole new ball game here. Okay, we're talking a whole new ball game. I stood in front of Mrs. Livaday. She was 8 months pregnant. The hardest thing I've ever done in my life. And I could not reconcile, and still cannot reconcile to this day, that her son would, as I apologized to her, that her son would never see her father. And that another pregnant woman had killed the son's father. That type of threat is not far-fetched, okay, for what we've got going on in the United States. And I go back to Director Comey's comment. When you have ISIS in all 50 states, we've seen it in San Bernardino, and we've seen it in Orlando. Okay? The last Ranger I want to talk about is Ranger Sergeant Jeremy Fellbush. Again, on the 3rd of April, he was struck in the right temple with about a quarter-sized piece artillery fragment. It lodged in his frontal lobe, clipped his optic nerves, and he's blind to this day. Jeremy got out after a couple years of rehab. He got out of the Army, and he's been on a number of talk shows. He's been on O'Reilly and a whole bunch of others, speaking for Wounded Warrior Project, etc. So he was on this one morning talk show in 2005, and he was there with another soldier who was blinded in combat. Jeremy was a University of Pittsburgh graduate. He was 6'4", weighed about 240 pounds. He was your prototypical, airborne ranger guy you wanted to have right next to you in a fight. So after some pro forma kind of dialogue, the host looked at both of the blind retired vets. He said, hey, now you guys are blind. What do you think about the decision to join the Army? Kind of a backhanded comment. And Jeremy looked right towards the voice. He said, now that I'm blind, I see life more clearly than ever. And I wish I could add a picture of that host's face, because he about fell out of his chair. So my question to you is, now that you have your sight, how do you and how do I see life more clearly going forward to deal with the threats that are confronting our country? We owe that to these guys and gals who have served our country so faithfully.